Welcome to Comfort Time with Aunty Yunike, where we share testimony stories. Today we have a very special guest, and this is Father Don Phiri SMA. Our topic for today is the difference between spiritual and psychological cases. Father, welcome to Comfort Time.
Thank you very much, Aunty Yunike, and special greetings to the viewers.
Thank you. I think, Father, you should maybe give us a bit more information about yourself before we go into the topic.
Yeah, thank you, Aunty Yunike. So, viewers, as you have heard, I'm Father Don Phiri. I belong to a missionary congregation called the SMA, and I've been a missionary now for the past 16 years.
Wow, that's a long time.
Yes, I've been a priest for the past 16 years.
Okay.
And after my ordination, I went to Liberia, where I worked as parish priest in a church for 5 years. Then came to our seminary here in Zambia, in Ikawe, where I was the rector for 8 years. And after that, I went for my studies in Kenya, where I went to do my master's in counseling psychology.
Okay.
So at the moment, I'm a Catholic priest at the same time a counseling psychologist.
Oh, great. So you are the right person to share with us the difference between psychology and spiritual cases, psychological and spiritual cases. What is the difference?
To start with, I must admit that I know other people have talked about this, so I'm just adding my voice to what others have said when it comes to discerning the difference between spiritual and psychological cases. For me, I feel it's very important because this is a great concern in our society. People mistake one for the other.
Yes.
So when we are talking about spiritual cases, this is very clear. You know, Aunty Yunike, you and I are Christians. We understand we're talking about spiritual things. We are talking about things that are related to the finding meaning and purpose in life. And when we're talking about finding purpose and meaning in life, we are actually talking about this in relation to the supreme being, a higher being. So it's different because in philosophy also there is existentialism, which has to do with finding meaning and purpose for your life. And also in psychology we have existential therapy. But this is different because now there is this attachment to the higher being, the supreme being, whom we call Christians as God. The Muslims will call him Allah, and other religions.
They have other names.
Yes. And when we are talking about psychological cases, it is good to let it be clear to the viewers that we are talking about, the emotions, the thoughts, and generally the well-being of the person. So there's this difference. I'd like to extend further and explain perhaps because I've used the word discernment. I think this is very important. I've not used the word to know the difference between psychological and spiritual cases. I've used the word to discern, which means somebody has to take time. Discerning means carrying out a serious and vigorous scrutiny. Like when you are talking about spiritual cases, you don't just label people. Somebody comes to you to say, oh, I had a wet dream, and then you say you must be having a spiritual husband or a spiritual wife. Or somebody comes to tell you, I'm having strange dreams, or that should be a spiritual problem. Even in psychology, we don't label people. Somebody comes to tell you, I'm having flashbacks, of that accident I witnessed. You say, you must be having acute, distress disorder or PTSD. Or somebody says, no, I'm missing home, because I've left my country, and straight away you say, that should be a separation anxiety disorder. We are not too quick to say, I'm failing to eat this food because, I'm not used to it. I'm in a different country. Then you tag that person that this should be adjustment disorder. No, it is discernment. You take your time, and discernment can be done in 1 minute. It can be long, but as long as it is very serious and it's a vigorous scrutiny, so that we are fair to both. We do justice to both spiritual matters and psychological matters.
Why do you think this is of great concern at this time?
Yeah. Deep down my heart, I'm very convinced that this is of a great concern. You know, you see in our society, like in our churches, what I mean by churches is that the Catholic and non-Catholic churches, you find that some spiritual leaders, they ascribe, you know, issues that have to do with psychology or psychiatry to be spiritual. And I feel when doing that, we are not doing justice to our people, to these cases, you know, and also to be quick to labeling, you know, some issues that are spiritual, and then, you know, sometimes in psychiatry are seen as psychological. So there is this, you know, confusion that is there. So I felt that it is good for our viewers to have a clear view of how to go about the two. Okay, but how do you know the difference, Father? Yes, now I may answer that question now as a Catholic priest, you know. First of all, you know, like in our Catholic Church, it's very easy to identify, you know, spiritual problems and the psychological problems. For instance, if you look at the sacramentals and you come across somebody who is possessed, people who are possessed, you know, they have a peculiar reaction to these sacramentals. And these sacramentals I'm talking about are rosaries, you know, Bible, crosses, images of the saints. So you straight away see that peculiar reaction. You know, they don't like this. So you'll be able to tell that this is a spiritual problem. You know, and another way of looking at it, you know, like in our Catholic Church, we are blessed with the sacrament of Eucharist, which is very core in our church. You know, if you bring the Eucharist to somebody who is possessed, you see also their reaction. So that already that gives you is an indication that there is some possession or there is some spiritual problem. But if they don't, then you may have to take another trend, which is a psychological one. Like I'll give you an instance of where I was called to pray for this boy. And when I got to the place where this boy was living, the boy was kind of talking irrelevantly, you know, uttering ideas that were disconnected. You know, he was somewhat disoriented. So when I got there with the Eucharist in my pyx, the pyx is that small vessel in which we put the body of Christ. So when I got there, the boy, you know, kept talking senselessly, and he didn't even mind my being there. Already that I was able to tell that, you know, I didn't see that reaction. You know, the evil one reacts to the presence of God, because the Eucharist is the presence of God. Of course. So when I saw that missing, that gave me an insight that this could not be a spiritual problem. And later on, actually, I told the family members that what you do is take this boy to the hospital tomorrow morning, and then in the evening or afternoon, bring the boy to me. So he was taken to the hospital, and he was given the medicine, you know, to calm him down. And later on, when he came to my office, I did some probing. I discovered that actually there was a girl that he loved and had dumped him. So he was kind of wallowing into depression.
Poor thing.
So that's one way of, those are two ways of telling. Another way also of telling, you know, there is a third way also of telling that the demon or the evil one, they detest, you know, sacred places. So you see that they become very uneasy when they are in church. And even the gaze, you know, they will not gaze, you know, at the sacrament, they will not gaze at the preacher, you know. They like to shift the gaze. So actually, a church leader or a spiritual leader or a religious leader who is very keen might be able to spot out these. So these are just some ways of identifying, you know.
No, that's very helpful, Father. It makes a lot of sense, actually.
Indeed.
So, Father, thank you for all that information. I think I've learned a lot. From that, it makes a lot of sense.
It makes a lot of sense. But you see, like, I already mentioned the spiritual problems that are not psychological. You may also be able to identify psychological problems. For instance, in the instance where somebody comes to tell you, I'm having something that is moving in my in my body, you know.
Yes.
I'm having strange dreams, you know, nightmares, all that. So as a counselor or a counseling psychologist, I may, you know, probe into that and discover that this person, you know, doesn't manifest symptoms that, you know, qualify to be a disorder. So I would say in this case, I think it is something spiritual. So I may have to refer the person to somebody who is gifted in praying for that. So there are moments when you can discover that, you know, this is psychological and this is a spiritual, you know.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, Father, having said that, what would be your recommendation, your advice to spiritual leaders, and to the communities? What can you advise us?
Yeah, and Yunike, I would say that it is very important, especially for the church leaders, to be honest. You know, sometimes because some people, because they want money, they may say, they may label you, you know, as having a spiritual problem.
So that the family can get desperate and can give them...
And they take advantage of your situation. So the part of the church leader is good to be honest. And also, again, I would say the same thing about the psychological practitioners and the counselors, you know, that we have to be honest, we have to determine where our competence ends, you know, where we are able to tell that, no, this is not in our realm.
It's beyond our
make referrals, you know. So this would be my recommendation to both psychologists. To the society, I would say, let us remain calm when we are surrounded by all these unstable circumstances. We remain calm. Let us not go to the extent of incurring loans in order to go to this man of
to that level.
Yes.
Getting desperate to live a life where we have not yet reached. We've seen that, especially in Lusaka, I suppose, being the city, people don't want to be real.
Exactly.
And they're looking for things where they have not reached that level, because everything should have paper trail. How did you get to be where you are? You can't just wake up today and say, I want to be like this one. You haven't even found out how did they come to be where they are. What trials did they go to? What suffering did they go to? So without going through all that, you really would be doing injustice to yourself to start wanting a life which is not at your level.
Exactly. That's this. It's very important, you know, what you have mentioned, you know, not to be too desperate. It's good to maintain your calm, you know, in the midst of all these challenges, and also discern where to get help from. You know, some people go to the extent, maybe, you know, your son or your daughter is into alcoholism. You know, as a priest, I'm not saying that, you know, prayers cannot help. Prayers can help, but you know, God has given us different ways in which He renders healing. One way could be through medicine. You know, another way could be through counseling. You know, we should be open. If it is through medicine, we accept it. If it is through counseling, we accept. If it is through prayers, we accept it.
And but it could also be both.
Exactly.
You have prayer and you have medicine. Exactly. I'm saying that, Father, because I've seen like people who have been on ARVs, and the men of God, women of God have told them, I've prayed for you, you are healed, stop taking your medicine. That person stops. Before long, the CD4 count goes down. Before long, they are so sick, and sometimes they die. Is that really being a spiritual leader? Yeah,
you see, that's why we have to be very careful so that we don't do a lot of harm to the people. It's good to be honest, to be fair, to say, no, God may use this medicine to help you manage. After all, as we are putting, somebody on ARVs can live a full lifespan.
Of course. Now it's just a condition. It's not like before when we didn't have the proper drugs and people were dying. But now you can live your full life. They are living longer than even the people who are not positive.
Exactly.
So really, like Father, you said, discernment is very important, and interrogating the condition that you are in, the situation you are in, because you can't just receive help, information from just anybody. You don't know where they are.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We have to be careful. We have to be, very careful when it comes. And at Yunike, I must mention that somebody might say, you are just mentioning the difference between psychological and spiritual. Is it possible to have both?
Okay.
There are cases where a person can have both.
Okay.
I would explain this by giving an example. Like maybe let's say, I'm sorry to mention this, a woman who has a disease and very desperate about getting healing. Some people go to the extent of getting loans, and they are giving to the church leaders or to the church at large. And maybe some people you have heard who even sacrifice their pension.
Oh yeah.
So in that case, they are giving because their belief is that they will get healing. Of course, I'm not refuting the fact that there is the healing that comes from being charitable. It is biblical. But where you are giving and going to get, you are getting loans in order to give.
But even the intention there is not
causing
pure.
Financial distress. It's like you are dictating to God. Now you are telling God, I'm giving you this and give me this.
And you must give me this.
So you see, in this instance, then there is a spiritual problem. And a honest spiritual leader should help this person to try to purify the concept that this person has of God. That God is not that person that by giving him you induce him to give you
what you
healing.
want.
And there could be also a psychological problem. There is this, it could be a obsessive compulsive disorder.
Yes.
The person is so much preoccupied, obsessed with this disease. And it could be also an illness, anxiety disorder. So you may find the two in one person.
Yes.
So it boils down to the fact that the person, together with those practitioners and teachers leaders, they have to discern, the solution and the way forward.
Thank you so much, Father. I'm sure people have heard, and they will be more careful going forward, and they will use the steps to see which area am I in, so that way we make the right decision and we don't find ourselves in situations where we are actually injuring ourselves. Thank you so much, Father, for this information. It's very helpful. I've learned a lot myself. I'm very grateful. Being a psychosocial counselor, I look up to you, so thank you so much.
Thank you too for inviting me. I'm very delighted to have appeared on this forum.
Thank you, Father.
It's my prayer that you continue to help people through this kind of sharing.
Thank you so much, Father. And before I wind up, I would also like to introduce you to SOD. Maybe as you go around, you can even help other people. We are promoting what is called SOD. It's an enzyme. This is the product. This is, sorry. So this one is, it works with the cells. Why I'm bringing it up on this topic is because I was very surprised when a person who came to us with a problem of panic attacks. For me, I know that this is healing the cells. It's an enzyme, SOD, which you can Google maybe later when you have time. You find that when we are born with 100% SOD. That's why you find a baby, when the baby is sick or someone young, within a few days, they feel better after they give them antibiotics, but an elderly person may take longer. That's because when we reach 40, our SOD levels go down to about 70%. And as you get older and older, you keep on losing that. But when you take SOD for a little while, the SOD levels go up. This is because the intestinal wall gets thick. Like, when you have a scar, when you have a wound and there's scar tissue, that scar now is hard. So that's how the intestinal wall becomes because of aging. So when you take food, nutritious food, fruits, or whatever you take, vitamins, even just medication, it just slides through. It doesn't get absorbed. because all nutrients are absorbed in the intestine. Yeah, so now because of that, this is very helpful. And when I found out how come that someone who was having panic attacks got helped by using SOD, I was told that it's because probably because this works with rebuilding, regrowing, and replenishing the cells. So dead cells, rotting cells, and aging cells are flushed out, and you regrow new cells. And you know, we are made up of cells. So because we are made up of cells, when your cells are okay, you are okay. When your cells are damaged, the body will show from which part the cells are not working very well. So now, I thought I should share with you that, because obviously you'll be meeting people who might need to help themselves. The men are appreciating it, the men over 40, because they've noticed that it helps the prostate, inflammation in the prostate gland. So it's very good for that. So they've really appreciated it. So there's no need for people to suffer, and it's also anti-aging. So those who don't want to get old, you can use it just to look young.
I see. That's the secret that you have.
Oh no, Father. Yeah. So I thought I should share that. For those who want more information, I'll link a video which explains in detail. But in a nutshell, it's just about regrowing your cells, which is very good. So even the issues we've talked about, psychological issues, sometimes it's just your cells not functioning the way they are, and this can be of help.
I have no option but to grab this one.
Oh. Thank you, Father.
Yeah. God bless you.
Thank you so much. So you've got that information. Father has been very gracious. I've actually learned a lot from his sharing, and I think it's going to help me going forward as I deal with the people who come to me for help. So please do the same and interact with us in the comments below, so that we answer your questions. Father will be able to come back, or at least respond to whatever your questions are. So don't fear to ask. You can ask through the phone numbers, through the email, or even just through the comment section. Feel free to do that. And always remember to give us a thumbs up so that YouTube can share our information with other people. Always remember to share. And if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe to our channel so that we grow. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you for listening. God bless you. See you in the next video.